Welcome back to the channel, good friends. Brian from Apex Detail. I'm excited to get a new series started with you guys. I'm going to take you along for the journey. Now this will have a lot of detailing in it and will stay within the detailing realm, but will be a bit different than what we're used to. This series will be called The Journey, and it'll be the journey from auction or a junkyard heap to supercar. So what we're going to do is invest a little bit of money and get started and pick up a car and fix it up and flip it and keep doing that and get higher and higher value cars until we can finally afford to pick up a supercar. GT3, GT4, Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini, you name it. Whatever we end up with, wherever the road takes us. It will be some trying times as it's more difficult to do nowadays. I've done it before. I'm going to do it again and show you it can be done and how it can be done in today's environment. I'm going to take you along for the ride. It may take months, it may take a year, it may take 2 years in this environment. That I don't know. I just know it can be done and I'll show you how. We'll start at a small auction, and they are getting filtered cars now that have higher mileage than usual. There's less and less decent cars to pick out because those used car lots, which is what feeds the auctions, are holding on to those cars because they want their used cars right now. They want to keep them for their own lots to fill because they're going for a crazy price. So now you really have to be careful with what you pick up. What I do pick up, hopefully we can fix up mostly with manual labor and a little bit of elbow grease, but whatever I need to put into them, because my biggest thing is selling a car to the next person as safe as possible. And that means if it needs tires, brakes, brake lines, whatever, and becomes a safety issue, it will be replaced new and right, and that customer will be safe and happy. So that's one rule that I have. Other than that, whatever I can do manual, I will show you how to do that, and we're gonna run into some real messy times, especially at first. I get a kick out of the first few cars because they're normally some real doozies. Hey, let's head to our first public auction and get this journey started. At the auction house a little early, they will let you in throughout the day so you can check out the inventory as it arrives. As of now, it is a bit early and there's not a ton of inventory here, but we can check out what has arrived so far. This is a small taste of what we'll be looking through, and some of the private sales and the late minute arrivers will come in and fill up the edge of this lot. At an auction like this, you will see older cars, new cars, high miles, some very low miles. A vehicle like this with a ton of rust and really may not even be safe to be back on the road, but there could be some parts, running drivetrain that could be used. So everything really has a value. One man's junk is another man's treasure. This thing is beat up hard. What we look for when we are at an auction, the first thing I look for is state inspection. We still have that here in Pennsylvania. I like to see that there's at least 6-7 months of inspection still left. It gives me an idea that the car has been sort of looked over. We'll check at the mileage. We make sure there's no check engine lights. I will never buy a car with check engine lights. I mean, they can absolutely pop up when you're on the way home, but I'm not going to start off with something like this where it's already chattering, running rough, and the check engine light is on. Another thing we want to look for is tires. Try and get underneath and look for leaks. And as you can see here, you know, you have a little bit of the inspection left. This one has run out. But a Nissan like this would be a decent pickup. The interior doesn't look bad. It actually looks like it's freshly detailed in here. And when you start it up, you check for that light, the check engine light. You check for the mileage. You're always going to come up with, I'd say 95% of the vehicles here having 100,000 miles, 150,000 miles plus. So something to get used to early. Really high mileage doesn't scare me if it's been looked after, and the customers that know what they're looking for when they come to buy these when they are ready, they know what to look for, and they really aren't concerned either all that much about high mileage. It's how the vehicle has been taken care of so far. They know picking up a vehicle with mileage like this, they could drive off the lot and something can happen within the first few miles, and that's just the gamble you take. You take the paint depth gauge along. I always take the paint depth gauge, go around and take 2 or 3 measurements from every panel to give me an indication where there's been repairs. You'll go from 5 mils and jump up to 11, 12 mils from one panel to another. Then you know there's been a repair on that panel. If it jumps up to 3 times what should be there normally, then you know there is body filler as well. I also look for chewed up seats and steering wheels. I don't mind redying them if they're a little bit worn, but torn up like this is something I try not to deal with. I don't mind headlights that need to be restored. This vehicle here is inspected till next year, so we have this one higher on the list. It's really not in that bad a shape. The mileage is a little over 100,000, but no big deal. It seemed to start up. I didn't see much in ways of the dash lighting up like a Christmas tree. So, definitely something on the list. The keys are all in these vehicles throughout the day. You can't take them out on the road, but you can start them up after you check all of the fluid levels and put them in drive, put them in reverse, all the gears. If it's stick shift, you can make sure the clutch works and feel where that's grabbing. There are a lot of things you can look at. It's really tough when you can't take them out on the road. That drives me crazy, but it is what it is, and that's the gamble. But you're going to find anything here from a Mercedes to domestic vehicles to cars, trucks, minivans, to plows, RVs, buses, and boats. All right, let's use this interior for an example. This would be acceptable to me. A little bit of wear and tear. Dye is wearing thin, but no real horrible rips and tears within the bolsters where patches would have to be sewn in. Redying some of the interior is no problem at all. We can take care of that. No engine light with all the miles on this vehicle, which is a little bit surprising, but the maintenance and upkeep on something like this is definitely a turnoff for me. All types of vehicles, from Cadillac Jeeps to brand new vehicles. This Cadillac here only has 14,000 miles. You're probably looking at about 50 or 60 grand for that one. This one has, miles are creeping up a bit. You're probably looking at about 25,000, 26,000 for something like this. Just talking through experience of being here and seeing what these cars go for in this setting. Okay, so we are heading home in the new auction HEAP. It turned out to be one of 3 out of the lot that were decent values after winning the bid. And we picked it up for $2,600. You got to keep in mind there's going to be auction fees. There's going to be taxes. You're going to have to fill it up. You always get the tank empty at these private auctions. So you just have to keep those costs in mind. And the idea is to put as little amount of money as possible into the vehicles before you can, turn around and flip them. But I also want to make them safe for the next owners. So whatever that takes, tires, brakes, brake lines, whatever we run into that can become a safety issue, that is very important to me. So that's the balance and the risk we take when picking one of these up. But most of what goes into it will be manual labor. It's your typical very dirty, unkept vehicle. Hopefully when we get it back to the shop and we do a walk around, we don't find too much more that's wrong with it. We're going to check the brakes, we're going to check oil, we're going to change the oil, put new filters, get it ready for the next owner so they can hop in it and start enjoying it, start using it right away. So far, driving nice, no pings or knocks in the engine. It's not smoking, no steam. You want to look for smoking from either burning oil or a blown head gasket. It runs along straight. I don't advise it, but while you're driving, if you let go of the wheel, it just keeps going straight. It doesn't pull to the left or right. Also, when you brake hard, it doesn't pull to the left or right. It is a nice straight stop. So far, so good. Everything seems to be working. The windows go up and down. The biggest issue I see now is just some minor cosmetic issues that need to be taken care of, and it's very, very dirty, but we can take care of that. I know somebody who can take care of that. So, of course, with the high mileage at 158,000, we do need to replace filters and change oil. However, looking at resale, for those that are in excellent shape, with this mileage, you can still get $7,000, $8,000. As I mentioned earlier, the atmosphere and just the overall situation we're in when it comes to used cars it's overflated. It's going crazy. The auctions are getting cars that are in real rough shape. Dealerships feed these auctions, and the dealerships want to hold on to as many decent or vehicles that are in good shape and hold on to them and maybe do a little bit of work to them and put them on their own lots. So what filters into the auctions, it's not going to be good. I believe we did okay here, and so far so good. Shifting nice. The shifting is nice and tight. There's no hesitation putting it in drive or reverse or shifting from one gear to another. So we're okay so far, and it's still running. I believe we're going to make it all the way back to the shop. We'll keep our fingers crossed. So the idea of this, having paid $2,600, and we have don't forget the auction fees and tax, we at least want to double our investment. So having all the $3,000 into it when everything's said and done, just to get it back to the shop, you want to be able to double that, which I think we can do that and a little bit more, and then take that money and invest that. That could be into another single car, or maybe break that into two different types of vehicles. For the first 2 or 3 visits to an auction, it's going to have to be to an auction like we were just at, a small private auction where they get cars filtered from used car lots, new car lots, trade-ins, and then from there you can go to the Copart or the CarMax auctions and get something a little bit more higher value. It's going to be for at a higher price and a higher cost as well, but that is the goal. It can take time. It may take a couple months, a year. It could take a little bit longer. This is the first time I'm doing it in this environment, which is a little bit more tricky. You have to be a little bit more cautious just because of the overall price. Margins are being squeezed right now in this economy. But I have the confidence I can get it done yet again, and I have you along for the ride. Another thing I noticed and just tried, something I failed to try while we were browsing in the parking lot, not only does it throw good heat, but the air conditioning is ice cold. It won't need a charge, so that will keep our overhead down on this venture. So, as usual with these auction cars, the first stop you're going to make is to a gas station, because there's never going to be more than a quarter of a tank in it to get to your final destination. So that's our first stop. So we have a full tank again, $80 later, and it was a short distance from the auction, and we're already in the hole for $80 more. So this is all stuff you have to take into consideration, and all kinds of stuff that adds up. But it's a challenge I'm willing to take on once again, a little bit more of a challenge now in these in the times we live in, but this is going to be fun. I always get a kick out of the beginning of these journeys because of the heaps that you're going to pick up and have to turn around and flip. But it does get better. I don't know what's more interesting, the heaps at the beginning of these ventures or the higher end cars with different sets of problems that we pick up later on. But stay tuned to the series and we'll have some fun. Okay, we made it back to the shop safely, so now we can do a walk around and I can share with you exactly what we have to work with for our first vehicle. Straight panels except for a couple small dings here and there. We take care of PDR here, no problem whatsoever. No rust at all. Just a lot of dirt. We have tar sticking up on some of the lower panels. The paint needs to be polished. The headlights need to be redone, as well as the fog lights and the parking lights. We will take care of that. Minor imperfections and damage like this, we will show you how we take care of that here as well. On the driver's side, again, no rust, straight panels, just minor dings. That will be taken care of quickly and easily. Scratches, etching, transfer, and minor love marks and battle scars, we can handle those. When it comes to the tires, the rubber getting too close, we're going to replace those. We're also going to take care of brake pads. The rotors themselves look fine. They don't need to be cut or anything, but the pads, looking through, as far as I could see, as of right now, they will be replaced. When it comes to the interior, that's going to be the typical auction car, like somebody has lived in it and has never cleaned it. Not a problem. It will take some time, but we will get it looking as good as new. There's no ripped or cracked panels when it comes to plastic. The cloth seats, there's no rips or tears at all. It's just deeply stained. And that can be brought back. The door jambs and the hatch back here looks like it's been sitting under a tree. We'll be cleaning those out. On the driver's side, again, no real rips or tears. All of the floor mats are there. They can be cleaned. We're going to try and clean them instead of replace them. Again, every penny counts at this level of the game. Under the hood, that's going to need a detail. And what we're looking for is the serpentine belt. That is a typical small part to replace. No cracking at all whatsoever. Lifting off the oil cap, there's no white frothy slime stuck to the top, so no introduction of moisture. That's a good sign there. We're going to take a look at absolutely everything. Filters, antifreeze, cabin filters, brake fluid. We're going to take a look at the battery itself, which doesn't look very old. It's the newest thing under the hood here. Turns over well, so we're going to be fine there. Power steering fluid is full. There's no leaks underneath that I can see whatsoever, but we will get this on a lift, and I will take you guys underneath there, and we'll take a closer look to make sure there are no leaks. Pulling the dipstick, no white froth, so that could be a sign of a head gasket. Just needs to be changed. It was full, and when we wipe it off, no dark staining from, that's an indication that the oil doesn't get changed very often and it just gets burnt and stuck to the stick. This has been maintained. Another good sign. And when I mean maintained, it may not have been regular, but it was enough to get the car from point A to B for 158,000 miles and still seemed solid. But we will change out as many fluids as needed. When it comes to the air filter and the cabin filter, well, you'll see shortly here they both need to be replaced. When it comes to the brake fluid, a little bit low, but after 14 years, that could be normal. But we're going to get it up on the lift again and check and make sure there are no leaks, including master and slave cylinders. Wheels, they are in a rough shape. They will need to be sanded down and resprayed. And that will do it for the first video of the series. Let me know how you're enjoying so far. All input will be enjoyed and welcomed throughout this series. We'll catch you in the next video.